This is a video some people will hate. Challenging religious certainty can feel like attacking identity, family, and meaning all at once. In some places, saying these things out loud is more than unpopular, it's straight up dangerous. But I'm sharing them anyway because I feel that they are important and honest. My goal isn't to mock belief or to convert anyone away from their tradition. Rather, it's to make a case for humility, for holding our deepest questions with open minds, and for admitting that none of us, me included, has the final word on the divine. So let's jump into it. The case for agnosticism. Every culture has built a sky to live under. Ancient Egypt, classical Greece, imperial China, the empires of the Near East, the civilizations of the Americas, each created dense religious worlds, temples and prayers, sacred law, seasonal rituals. To these people, inside those worlds, their gods were not stories, they were reality. They worshipped, sacrificed, sought justice and mercy, and entrusted their lives to what they held as sacred. And most of those religions are gone now. We study them in museums and textbooks, and we call them myth, if we even know about them. Myth is a label that ignores that their believers were as sincere as we are. They loved, feared, hoped, and prayed with the same intensity that we do today. The point isn't to sneer at the past, it's to notice a pattern. Religions rise, flourish, branch, and often fade. Now zoom out to the present. Our world today is still largely religious, yet even the largest tradition encompasses only about a third of humanity. Statistically, even if one religion is perfectly correct, most people are outside of it. Zoom out again across time, humans have been making meaning, burying their dead, and telling sacred stories for longer than any living tradition has existed. That doesn't disprove anyone's creed, it just softens our confidence a little bit, and it should turn up the volume on humility. If there were a single self-evident revelation meant equally for all people in all eras, wouldn't we expect more consistency across geography and history? Instead, belief tracks with birthplace, language, and family. It sounds less like eternal truth and more like luck, and frankly, arrogance. Philosophers have wrestled for centuries with the problem of evil. If God is all-powerful and all-loving, why is the world full of suffering? Earthquakes, cancer, famine, war, children who die before they learn a single word. Now, religions offer different answers: free will, soul-making, inscrutable purposes, but the tension never really disappears. Now, I've come up with a related problem that I want to call the problem of love. Almost every tradition proclaims that God is loving and just, yet many also teach that most people, good by ordinary human standards, will not be excluded forever because they were hateful or cruel, but because they learned a different name for the divine, or they were born into the wrong story. Stated plainly, a God who creates billions and then shuts most of them out for geographic or vocabulary reasons. Does that really sound like love? Part of why this rarely gets questioned, I think, is psychological. People assume their loved ones are safe because they know them to be kind, honest, and decent, worthy of love. But the moment we widen the circle, the assumption cracks. I've spent much of my life working closely with people from all over the world, and the lesson is unavoidable. Goodness is not provincial, it's human. I've watched a mother in Tokyo cradle her newborn with the same tenderness I've seen anywhere. I've seen a son in Colombia weep beside a dying parent, and I've laughed with a grandfather in Morocco as he played with his grandchild. Different languages, customs, and prayers, but the same human grammar: love, loyalty, care, grief, and joy. These aren't local traditions. They are the ground that we stand on. If God is real and if God is good, divine love would not be narrow, reserved for one tribe or one tongue or one set of inherited practices. That would just be tribalism written in sacred ink, not justice. If God exists, then by definition, God exceeds us, beyond language, culture, and comprehension. Not just powerful, but limitless. Not just wise, but unfathomable. And not just loving, but the source of what we clumsily call love. And yet our reflex is to box the infinite, to contain eternity into a book, to compress mystery into a slogan, to declare membership lines around something we already admit we can't fully understand. The search for God isn't the problem. The problem begins when we claim to have captured God completely. That's when seeking becomes gatekeeping. Consider how belief actually lives in reality. Even within the same religion, no two people mean exactly the same thing when they talk about God. Faith is like a fingerprint, shaped by family, language, fear, hope, suffering. The stories we were told and the ones that we survived, each of them are unique. There's no pure religion untouched by the people who practice it. We can see this in the fracturing of every religion. Christianity splinters into tens of thousands of denominations. Islam has sects with deep disagreements. Hinduism and Buddhism, they all contain vast schools and interpretations. If ultimate truth were simple, obvious, and perfectly preserved, why would they disagree so profoundly? Appeals to correct interpretation merely shift that burden from revelation to human referees. To insist that our group alone has the full truth shrinks the infinite into something local, one language, one people, one century, and then silence. And that isn't reverence, it's just confidence dressed as piety. A God worth worshiping wouldn't fit in our box, belonging to our tribe or bound by our grammar. The moment we pretend otherwise, we are no longer honoring the divine. We are protecting ourselves. None of this demands that anyone abandon their tradition, reject their scriptures, or stop praying. It just asks for something simpler, and I think braver. Honesty about the limits of what we can know, and humility about the reach of our claims. Agnosticism, as I'm using the term, isn't apathy. It's reverence for a mystery too large to domesticate, respect for the sincere faith of others, and a refusal to equate confidence with truth. If there is a God, then God is greater than our stories, kinder than our boundaries, and more vast than anything we can capture, even together. Holding that possibility with an open mind is not weakness. I think it's wisdom and strength.